Mom rubbed raw chili paste into my eyes for refusing to be my sister's maid. She said, "Now you see what pain looks like," so I made sure they cried every day. I was standing at the kitchen sink, rinsing off the last dish from dinner when my mom's voice cracked through the house like a whip. "Harper, get upstairs and fix your sister's closet. It looks like a pig's dye again." She didn't even look at me. She just barked it out from the dining room where she and my sister were sitting with plates of takeout I wasn't allowed to touch. I wiped my hands on a towel and turned around slowly. "Mom, I just worked a 10-hour shift. Can it wait until tomorrow?" My sister Brook, 20, spoiled golden child, tilted her head and smirked like she was watching a comedy show. "Aw, big sister is tired? Maybe don't act like a maid if you can't handle maid work. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." My stomach tightened. I said, "I'm tired. I'm not your maid." Brook's eyebrows shot up. She looked at Mom like she'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. "You hear that, Mom? She thinks she's too good to serve me." Mom put her fork down gently like she was about to deliver a sermon. "If you weren't such a burden, Harper, maybe I'd treat you better. But you should be grateful we let you stay in this house." I clenched my jaw. I knew my place here. I'd known it since childhood, but tonight my body felt heavy, too tired, too hollow to crawl into the role they carved for me. Brook stood up and walked toward me, flipping her perfect blonde hair. "Go fix my closet. I have a date tomorrow, and I'm not digging through piles because you're lazy." "No." It came out before I could stop it. Mom's head snapped toward me. The room froze for half a second. "No," she repeated, like I'd just spat in her face. "You're refusing for once," I whispered, "just tonight." Brook scoffed. "Wow," she grew a spine. "Cute. It won't last." Mom rose from her chair like a storm. "If you think you're too good to serve this family, maybe you need a reminder of what suffering actually feels like." Before I could move, she grabbed me by the arm and yanked me toward the counter. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Teaching you." She opened the cabinet, pulled out a small jar of homemade chili paste, bright red, thick, full of crushed peppers. My chest tightened. "Mom, no, stop, please." Brook laughed behind her. "Oh my God, she's shaking, this is pathetic." Mom twisted the jar open. The smell alone burned my nose. "You want to see what real pain looks like?" she hissed. "Maybe then you'll understand your place." She shoved me against the counter so hard the edge dug into my hip. I tried to twist away, but she grabbed my chin, squeezing my cheeks until my mouth opened in a silent cry. "Hold still, Mom, please." She dipped her fingers into the chili paste and smeared it across my eyelids. The burn was instant, violent, like knives made of fire. My knees buckled as the pain exploded across my face. I screamed and clawed at my eyes, but she slapped my hands down. "Don't wipe it off. Feel it. Feel what disrespect earns you." Brook pulled out her phone, laughing so hard she had to hold the counter for balance. "Oh my God, Mom, look at her, she looks like she's melting." I fell to the floor shaking, but Mom crouched beside me like she was comforting a toddler. "Now you see what pain looks like?" She whispered in my ear. "Maybe next time you'll obey." I couldn't open my eyes. Tears mixed with the burn, spreading it deeper. The floor felt cold under my palms, my chest heaving, my throat raw from screaming. Brook leaned down beside me, brushing my hair behind my ear like she was fixing a doll. "Honestly, Harper, if you just acted like a real family member instead of dead weight, none of this would happen." I could barely breathe. Their footsteps walked away casually, like they'd just finished a chore. Mom's voice echoed from the dining room. "Dinner's getting cold. Leave her. She'll get up eventually." Brook chuckled. "Blind rats don't move fast." I stayed on the floor for nearly 20 minutes, trying to blink through the pain. When I finally scraped myself up and crawled toward the bathroom, my vision was smeared red and watery. I grabbed onto the walls, feeling them more than seeing them. Inside the bathroom, I splashed cold water over my eyes again and again, gasping each time the burn surged. My reflection was a horror, red, swollen, streaked with tears. I slid down to the tile and pulled my knees to my chest. In the hallway, I heard Brook's voice. "Mom, she's going to cry again." Mom answered. "Bored, good. Maybe she'll finally learn something." That night, lying on the thin mattress they called my bed, the burn in my eyes, slowly fading but the humiliation burning hotter, something inside me shifted. Quiet? but solid. They had no idea. They had no idea what they just created inside me. And it was going to change everything. The next morning my eyes were still swollen, rimmed bright red, and every blink felt like grit scraping across raw skin. I could barely see the shapes in front of me when I walked into the hallway. The sunlight through the window stabbed like needles. Mom was already in the kitchen, pouring coffee for Brook like they were royalty at a private breakfast. Brook lounged at the island with her phone, scrolling, legs kicked up like she owned the place. When I walked in, Mom looked at me for half a second and smirked. Look who survived. Brook didn't look up. Did she? Honestly, Mom, you should have scrubbed harder. She still looks like she can see a little. I tried to walk toward the fridge, but my foot hit the edge of a stool and I stumbled. Brook burst out laughing. She's bumping into furniture. Oh my God, this is iconic. Mom didn't tell her to stop. She didn't even blink. I steadied myself and reached for a water bottle. Before my fingers could wrap around it, Brook slapped my hand away. That's mine. There are 6 more in there, I murmured, still trying not to blink too much. Brook leaned in close, her breath sweet and mocking. But I said, it's mine. Learn to listen. Mom took a bite of her toast. Harper, why are you making a scene? You already embarrassed us enough last night. My jaw clenched. I didn't embarrass anyone. Mom let out a sharp laugh. You refused to do your sister a simple favor. Then you cried like a toddler when I corrected you. You make everything harder than it needs to be. I swallowed slowly, keeping the anger down like acid. You rubbed chili into my eyes. Brook slammed her phone onto the counter. Here she goes again, always the victim. You act like Mom hurt you on purpose? My hands curled into fists. She did. Brook rolled her eyes so hard I heard the exaggerated sigh. Oh please, if she really wanted to hurt you, you'd be blind by now. Be grateful. Mom poured herself another cup of coffee, looking irritated. Stop whining. Your sister has a charity event to get to, and she needs someone to steam her dress. Go make yourself useful. The room spun a little when I looked at them. My throat tightened, not because of the pain in my eyes, but the realization that they truly believed nothing they did was wrong. My voice shook. I'm not touching anything for Brook. Silence. A chilling silence. Brook stepped closer to me, her face inches from mine. You're really stupid, she whispered. You think saying no means anything in this house? I took a step back. It does to me. Brook smiled slowly, meanly. Mom, she needs another lesson. Mom didn't answer. She just took a calm sip of coffee and said, I'm tired of teaching her the same thing. She'll come crawling back like she always does. Brook reached for the jar of chili paste still sitting on the counter. I froze. My heart jumped. My breath shook. I'm not doing anything, Brook said lightly. I just want to see how fast you run. I moved away fast, bumping into the pantry door. Brook laughed, putting the jar back. Pathetic. Mom walked past me, brushing my shoulder hard. I raised you better than this embarrassing display. If you can't handle your responsibilities, don't expect a roof over your head. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and pressed my back against it as tears finally came. Hot, blurring, painful again because the chili burn wasn't fully gone. I stared at myself in the mirror. My face was still swollen, eyes puffy and red. I looked like someone punished for existing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I text from my coworker, Sasha. You okay? You didn't show up today. I blinked, realizing I must have lost a track of time in all the chaos. I texted back, family thing, I'm fine. It was a lie, and she'd know it, but I didn't have the strength to explain. When I stepped back out into the hallway, I heard Mom and Brook laughing in the living room. Their laughter sounded different today. Colder, sharper, like they were celebrating something. I peeked around the corner. Brook was showing Mom a video on her phone. It took half a second to realize it was me last night, screaming on the kitchen floor, clutching my burning eyes. My stomach dropped. Brook zoomed in on my face and laughed. This part is my favorite, Mom chuckled. Honestly, it's useful. Next time she claims we mistreat her, we'll show her how dramatic she looks. I felt something rip inside me, like a seam tearing open. They recorded it, they kept it, like a trophy. Brooke looked up and saw me. "Oh, look, the star of the show." Mom smiled like she was greeting a neighbor. "We're keeping this video in case you start acting out again. A little reminder of what happens when you disrespect your family." My breath came out shaky. "You're disgusting." Mom's face snapped into a glare. "Excuse me? You hurt me and you laughed about it." Brooke picked up a pillow and threw it at me lazily. "God, you really don't get it. You're not equal to us." I stepped back, heart hammering, mind racing. They were never going to stop, never going to change, never going to love me. And for the first time in my life, instead of drowning in it, something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to survive them. I was going to outsmart them. And when I finally walked upstairs to grab my phone, wallet, and the few clothes I owned, my hands weren't shaking from fear anymore. They were steady, because I knew exactly what my revenge was going to look like. And unlike them, I didn't need chili paste to make someone cry. I didn't leave the house that day. Not yet. Revenge isn't something you rush when you've spent your life being humiliated. It's something you prepare for carefully. The next morning I went to work early. My eyes were still tender, swollen around the edges. But I wore sunglasses and told my boss I had allergies. She believed me. She always did. She'd been kind in all the small ways my family never had. After my shift, I asked her quietly, "Do you know any rental places nearby that don't ask too many questions?" She nodded without hesitation. "I do." "And you're not living with them anymore, are you?" I shook my head. No tears. Just resolve. Within 3 days, I had a room in a small duplex, clean brown carpet, a working lock on the door, and silence that didn't feel like punishment. I didn't tell my mom or Brooke. I didn't need their permission. I didn't need their approval. But I needed them to understand what losing me actually meant. So I waited until the perfect moment. It came on a Thursday evening when Mom called me. Her voice irritated. "Harper, stop being dramatic and get home. Brooke has a photo shoot at 8. And you need to steam her dresses." I almost smiled. "I don't live there anymore." Mom paused. "What?" I moved out. "You what?" Brooke grabbed the phone. I could hear her breathless from across the line. "You can't leave. Who's going to do my laundry? Who's going to set up my outfits? Who's going to?" I cut her off. "Figure it out." Mom hissed. "You ungrateful brat. After everything we've done for you, you rubbed chili into my eyes," I said calmly. "And you laughed." There was silence. Then Mom snapped. "You deserved it." "I know," I said softly. "And that's why I'm done." I hung up. But that wasn't the revenge. Not even close. 2 days later, I went to the police station, not to press charges. That wasn't my plan. I simply walked up to the officer at the front desk and said, "I need to file a record of a domestic assault incident. I'm not pressing charges. Yet. But I want this documented." The officer looked at my medical note from the urgent care visit I went to the night I left home. Irritation, tissue damage, chemical exposure to the eyes. "Who did this?" he asked gently. "My mother." He wrote everything down. He stamped it. He filed it. And that was enough. Because my parents' biggest fear wasn't jail. It was their reputation. They lived off being the perfect family, often pressing church friends, off pretending Brooke was a rising star and I was the quiet helper daughter. One documented incident. It wouldn't arrest them, but it would follow them. And I knew exactly when to use it. A week later, their church was hosting its annual community banquet. Mom and Brooke were obsessed with it. Brooke even bought a new dress specifically for the event. I arrived early, sat in the back, quiet, unnoticed. When Pastor Glenn began reading the volunteer list, he paused when he reached my parents' names. "Mr. and Mrs. Collins," he said slowly. "We need to discuss something privately." The entire row turned to look at my mom. She stiffened. "Is there a problem?" He held up a paper. "We received a welfare concern from the precinct involving your daughter." Brooke turned white. Mom's jaw dropped. Dad put his hand over his mouth. People whispered immediately. Everyone knew what a welfare report meant. Mom stood up violently. "Harper, what did you do?" "I didn't move. I told the truth." Brooke's voice cracked. "You're ruining us." "Funny," I said. That's exactly what you told me when I cried. Pastor Glenn frowned deeply at my parents. This is serious. We'll need to talk further. You should take responsibility. Responsibility, the one word they never expected to hear in public. They panicked instantly. Dad rushed toward me. Just withdraw the report. Say it was a misunderstanding. Mom grabbed my wrist. Hard. Fix this. Fix it, Harper, Brook choked, trembling. They'll never let me model if people think we're abusive. I pulled my wrist away from Mom's grip. Funny, didn't you say I needed to learn what pain looks like? Their face is collapsed. Fear replacing arrogance. Silence replacing laughter. I stepped back. No, I'm not fixing anything. Every tear I shed in that house. You're about to shed 10. Mom's voice cracked for the first time in my life. Harper, please, don't do this to us. There it was. The begging. Not poetic. Not symbolic. Real. And deserved. I walked away with their voices echoing behind me. Panicked, shaky, desperate. They cried every day after that. Every meeting with the church. Every welfare follow-up. Every neighbor whispering. And I didn't need chili paste. I just needed the truth. I never moved back. I never looked back. And they never stopped crying.